Hello, welcome back. So this is video number 6, and we're going to be talking about the relative layout. If you look at the current Hello World app we're looking at, right now it is set in the constraint layout. And what we want to do is we want to change it to a relative layout. We're going to be covering two different ones. One is a relative, and the other is a linear. Linear will be in the next video. But let's go ahead and talk about this one right now. Relative, everything is basically relative to the very first position when you're in this layout. So what I want to do is first, I want to take this hello world, change it to a little smaller size to just say hello. So let me get down to my values. I actually already have my strings. So hello world, I'm going to take this out. Just have hello. And go back to my main. All right, so I have hello there. And I'm going to change this to the relative layout. So I'm going to highlight all the way across Android up through constraint layout, all of that. And I'm going to type in a capital R. As soon as I type it in, you see where it says relative layout. I am going to double click on that. It's going to put that in. Now I need to go down here and click, and when I do, it pops relative layout down there because these two need to match up. So you'll notice now hello moved from the middle up to the top. So I have that. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to add another component to the screen. So I want to add the hello world, and there's different ways of doing it. One is I can actually go add a component using the palette, or I can type in the code or copy and paste. So I could take this text view and so on. I could copy this down to create a new one. But right now, let's go first off, let's go to the palette and do it that way. So I'm going to click on the palette. And let's see, I'm going to go into the design view just so I can get a little more real estate here. Scoot this over. Okay. So in this palette, this is all, but you've got widgets. This is where you can get a lot of things added to save you some coding. What I'm dealing with is text. In the field that I want to add, I want to add another text view. And remember from looking at the code, this is what so over here in text, you can see it says text view. I'm wanting to add another text view down here. So I'm going to go to design. And I'm going to click on text view, and I'm going to click and drag it. Now, as I move it over here, you're going to see all these little green arrows. Now, the first thing is this one, let's go ahead and put in the center. So when you see the green arrow that's going vertically here, that means that we're centered. The other thing is you'll see a little green arrow that kind of pops up right down here. If I move it down, you'll see it has a green arrow pointing downwards, and also underneath hello, it has an arrow pointing down. That means that I'm lining it up with the bottom of the previous text view field, which contains hello. If I scoot it up above, it's going to put an arrow up above. But let's put it with the one that has the two arrows below. I'm going to let off. So there is my new field. And if I go over to text, you can see it now added it. When it added it, it put it as text view 2. And let's see. I'm looking at one thing up here. Hello world. I'm not sure why it still has hello world whatever 3, because we actually changed that value. And it may just be because I need to build it, and we actually changed it to hello, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. It's actually showing the right value over here. Okay, so the other thing on here is it added a 2 to it because we already have 1. This is 1, even though it doesn't have, underneath the ID, it doesn't have a 1. This is a second one. The other thing is it put in here a line bottom in relation to this first field. So it's lined up, which is these arrows here, shows it's lined up here. And also it's center horizontal true, which means it's right here in the center. So what I'm going to do now is to show you, if we take this stuff out, if I wipe this out and I hit delete, it takes that field and basically just moves it back to the relative position of 1. Oh, the other thing I want to do is I want to change this text view. I'm not going to worry about creating a string field for this. I'm just going to go ahead and use a literal. So I'm going to put world. Okay. So hello world. So right now I have it on top of it, but let's say that I want it to be below. So I'm going to try this. I had some issues. I don't know if it's because of memory or what, but I'm going to try and double click on this. Actually go to design and close this out. So under my component tree, and you can close that or open it by these little things over here on the side. What I want to do is I want to take world, and this may work and it may not. I'm going to try to drag it down below. Sometimes it acts kind of flaky trying to do it. Okay, yeah, I'm having. Sometimes it works for me, sometimes it doesn't. I don't know if it's just because of memory. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take world and I'm actually going to put it below the hello. So in that case, I'm going to go over to text. And what I want to do is I'm going to type in Android. Now it may pop up for you, but what I want to add is Android layout below. And I'm going to double click on that. And what I want to put under here is I want to put it underneath the text view, which is the very first field, which is hello. So I'm going to double click on that. And you can see now it stuck it underneath hello, which is exactly what I wanted. So I've added that. So you can see, you know, it's based in relation to the field before it. And you know, that's the whole thing. When you're using a relative, you do have to state where you want the things to be. You can't just add things on there. You have to say, you know, it's below, it's to the right of, it's to the left of. So the next thing I want to do is, instead of using the palette, I'm actually going to copy this text and I'm going to include the space above. So I'm going to copy and I'm going to paste, change the value to X, Y, Z. Now you'll notice up here, I've got the red squiggly. Well, what that means is it's named the same thing as the one before. So I need to change this to a 3. And the other thing, since I copied, I do have layout below, but I need to change this to a 2. So once I did that, it now has this next field underneath the world. So now I have hello world XYZ, which is exactly what I was wanting. So that's just kind of a quick and dirty way of explaining the relative layout. Next video, we will get into the linear, so you can kind of see the difference on that. So with that, I will let you go and see you in just a few minutes.